In this video, I'll discuss the 6 factors that affect whether we see transmission or reflection of light, and it's specifically related to glass surfaces and water surfaces. And it's in my book, The Art Instruction Course, Color and Light, which is only $7 on Amazon. When light hits glass at a perpendicular angle, it is transmitted through. If you want to look out a window, you have to get directly in front of the window. However, if light hits the glass at an angle, the glass starts acting as a mirror and you see the reflected rays. Now, some of the glass gets refracted in the glass, and that means it's coming in this direction, and then it becomes more perpendicular as it goes through the glass. And then it continues in the same direction as it had been, but it's shifted over because of its travel through the glass. And so this is the little bit of transmitted light that comes through. Transmission and reflection affect how we see a lake. If we look straight down, almost perpendicular to the water surface, the light goes through the water, so we see the rocks at the bottom. But when we look further out toward the horizon, so we're looking at the surface from a smaller angle, the water surface turns into a mirror and we see a reflection instead. And this reflection lies on the surface of the water, so it obscures our view of the bottom. This same principle occurs when we look through glass. If our line of sight is perpendicular to the glass, we can see straight through, so we see the texture of the wood. If instead our line of sight hits the glass at an angle of less than 90 degrees, we see reflections on the glass that obscure the view of the grass below. Light is transmitted rather than reflected if you're on one side and the light is on the other side. So in this picture, the viewer is inside looking out and the light is outside coming into the viewer, so it's transmitted through the glass. In this case, the viewer is on the outside looking at this lit staircase, and so the light from the inside comes out, is transmitted out to the viewer. On the other hand, light is reflected if you're on the same side as the light. So here, the woman is taking a picture of a window and the light is behind her. So both she and the light are outside, so she sees a reflection. Here, I'm inside, that's me, and the light is inside, and so you can see part of my room in the reflection. The fight between transmission and reflection depends on 6 factors. The first one we talked about, the angle between the window and your line of sight. So my phone is here. So at this point, I'm looking perpendicular to the window. And so I can see right through the glass to see the Windex bottle. But when I look up at a sharper angle, then I see the reflection of what's behind me. The second issue is, where is the light relative to the viewer? And in this case, the light is mainly outside, so the reflections are very strong. And the intensity of light is important. Outside light is very intense, so it causes very strong reflections. How close is the object to the other side of the glass? Well, one reason we can see this Windex bottle is because it's right next to the glass. And also, I cast a shadow on the glass, which blocks the reflections, so that makes it easier to see this bottle. And then the final issue is the thickness of the glass. The thicker the glass, the less likely it is that light is transmitted through. Let's look at examples of transmission versus reflection. So in this first case, we only see reflections of the outside because our line of sight makes a very narrow angle with the glass. And also the outside light is very strong. So even if there were lights inside this building, we wouldn't see it. Now, this one shows you the importance of the glass itself. Obviously, there are water droplets on it, and so it scrambles the transmission of light. This glare is caused by a window to the right side of the viewer that is reflecting off the glass from this frame, creating a glare that particularly obstructs the dark parts of the painting. In this case, the transmission through glass is seen here, so we see the lacy curtains because the curtains are close to the window. But when we look up so that our angle is smaller and the outside light is strong, we see a reflection of the background. Both of these show an interesting layered effect. So in this case, we're outside looking into a cafe, and we see the star, and we also see the inside lights, and we see areas that are close to the glass. But as we look higher, we can see the reflections of the trees behind us. Now, in this case, the subject is positioned close to the glass indoors while the camera remains outside. And because the light intensity of the reflected exterior cityscape matches or exceeds the light transmitted from this woman's face, the two images merge into a balanced double exposure. Remember my book, Color and Light, which is only $7, and I'll leave a link to it at the bottom of this video. And please remember to subscribe.